Alright, YouTube, Scott Adams has decided to go all in against Hillary Clinton. It's a good thing, because his persuasion capabilities are substantial. What he did, this is my reading of it, of course, throughout several months of the campaign, I think that he was always generally on board with Trump, but didn't want to seem like he was, because the point is this: if you seem like an unbiased party, he even alluded to this in one of his blog posts, and people didn't apparently pick this up. If you seem like a less biased party, you can exert more persuasion pressure. I didn't operate from that ethos. I was an actual Johnson supporter for several months during the campaign because I happened to believe he was a libertarian. Obviously, I was wrong. He's off in left field at the moment, being essentially authoritarian light. So I decided to back Trump, and I do that unironically. What Scott Adams has done, though, really is insert himself into the political situation, then pretend to be on all sides at different times. For instance, he said about Johnson, oh, he only touches himself, so, that's good, I'll endorse him for a while. At other times he endorsed Trump or didn't endorse anyone, wanted to seem like an undecided voter. He also endorsed Hillary Clinton, but he put in an aside, a sort of dog whistle, which is what it is, for the Trump fans. Oh yeah, I'm doing it for my personal safety. Still persuades people, though. If they're sort of leaning towards Clinton, but they don't really like her, they'll see that. And if they trust Scott Adams' appraisal of the situation at all, it actually acts to counter their support for Hillary Clinton. It's a very good strategy. Of course, I prefer pounding away at scandals myself, maybe less persuasive for undecided voters, but at the same time, with the legacy media dying off, it no longer even really matters. Honestly, there are multiple tactics that can be used. I'm writing a work, by the way, on occult memetics at the moment. I think some of my political viewers will be very happy about that, because I had promised that work for some months. It is in the, it's about halfway done, actually, right now. It's going to be a booklet form. It's not going to be like a full novel. It's going to be similar to, like, categorizing the occult. Anyway, Scott Adams has decided to go directly for the jugular here and go after the actual, like, CTR posters. And he is right in his appraisal of what's going on. Quite clearly, anybody who comes out at this point in the race, especially in the last couple of weeks, anyone at this late stage in the race who changes it up and says, well, I can no longer support Hillary, or I hereby endorse Trump, or something along those lines, or Hillary Clinton is scandal-ridden and noxious old hag, or something like that, will be targeted by shills. Don't think that I'm ignorant to the fact that there are paid shills on my YouTube page. I drive enough traffic now. Early on in the election, when I was at, 25,000 subscribers, that probably wasn't enough to trigger a reaction. Now it's up near 55,000, and I've noticed, I have noticed, I know enough about linguistics to know who's reading from a script. I pay attention to multiple sites. I can see, if I see overlap between somebody posting on 4chan, somebody posting on Facebook, somebody posting on YouTube, and they're all saying basically the same thing with the same sort of buzzwords in it, those are shills. This happened a couple years ago with a man supposedly named Stu Weinstein. Actually, this user was debating with me and was using the term moonbat an awful lot. I thought, well, that's an odd term. Then it started cropping up on 4chan, this term moonbat, to describe anybody who didn't like Obama, who was, I guess, not on board with the PC multicultural line. And it's obvious that this was actually a series of sock accounts using a script under the control of some sort of shilling group. Whether it was government-run like Obama's Truth Squad bullcrap or Correct the Record, it's not entirely apparent, but it was shilling. The buzzwords were there, the delivery was similar, the intonation was similar, it was scripted. That's how you can tell, honestly. It is CTR shills, largely, that are attacking Scott Adams right now. Not everybody. Sometimes what happens is you get some CTR shills to drive a hashtag or pile onto a video, and then actual users in a decentralized manner who happen to agree with the message join in the shilling. That's really what the purpose is. It multiplies the effect. If it's just the shills, it's a lot harder to make your point get across. This happens as well within memetics, and I point this out, that sometimes something that is not organic drives an organic movement thereafter, if the person has the skill to do so. We have to remember, of course, in proper debate tactics, with all of these things following loosely. They're human systems. They follow an evolutionary path that's very similar to biology. They compete for hosts, they compete for resources, and so forth, in a mimetic sense. That these things, when they are locked in what you could term a form of competition or combat with one another, operating upon those biological principles, the ultimate goal of someone who's using that kind of propaganda is not to convince the hardened opponent that they're arguing against. It's to convince unbiased parties. I'm well aware of the fact, for instance, when I call Hillary Clinton an old crone and then go on to list all of her scandals and lies, I'm well aware that that has very little persuasion towards people who lean towards Clinton. It's not going to convince any of her hardened fans. It will convince very few of her soft fans. What I go after is specifically the undecided voters and bolstering people who support Trump. Maybe third-party voters if they're only leaning towards voting third-party. Or the apolitical to get them stirred up. It's my form of persuasion. Scott Adams did something different. He's going after the lean Clinton voters right now. And people didn't even realize it, which is actually very funny. He's a very skilled individual. Don't underestimate his capabilities. Don't underestimate the capabilities of people who now form the backbone, really, of the new press, the new drivers of persuasion, the new drivers of propaganda in many cases. Governments are having difficulty promulgating their propaganda online. They have massive armies of sock accounts and shills to make up for the fact that they have little organic support. Whereas some individual YouTuber, if they can get 50, 60,000 people behind them, they can drive a message home much more ably if they have any coherence and intelligence at all. It's gotten to the point that you look at the TV, the legacy media. People have pointed out for a number of years. This isn't new. They've pointed out for a number of years that the people on there seem brain dead and they just happen to be what you would consider, I guess, to be physically attractive. Oh, they're the suave dude and the bleach blonde person with the low-cut dress and so forth. This was specifically aimed at Fox, but trust me, it's the same with CNN, MSNBC, and all the others, Rachel Maddow, of course, aside, or Nancy Grace, somebody like that. It's all the same. It's appearance. It's not really coherency. That no longer matters so much to people. It just doesn't have the effect that it used to have. People like Molyneux or Ramsey Paul or the Golden One, certainly Scott Adams, many others under the sun, and they don't all agree on message, are forming the backbone of what in the coming years will become much more powerful than the legacy media. It's already getting to the point where it's equivalent to the legacy media. It's going to become more powerful. The legacy media is being totally left in the dust. This is the last election that the legacy media has any relevance in at all. By the next election, the TV media won't have anywhere near the relevance of the internet, especially social media, both in a decentralized sense and a partially centralized sense. Of course, I've spoken of, for instance, and this is the case with the Dilbert blog or anything else, YouTube is centralized. It's a company parented by Google, in turn parented by Alphabet. It is centralized. It has rules. It has various regulations on it. But the user base itself that's actually creating the content is almost entirely decentralized. There are a few centralized groups that make use of it. You have Fox Livestream and CNN Livestream and a bunch of other news sites, businesses, lobbies, and so forth. And then you have the shills, of course. But they're vastly outnumbered by the support of individual users. It's all like a pirate party move or something like that. It's almost a direct democracy when you really think about it, or very close to it. It's almost anarchy. Now, anarchy, and I've sparred with several actual self-proclaimed anarchists fairly recently on the subject of anarchy. Anarchy doesn't work. It's utopian crap just like communism. But on the internet, it actually works fairly well. The pitchfork-waving mobs of trolls and shills that are present on the internet have so far not particularly disrupted the general flow of intelligent conversation. You could argue that some random person calling in to a live TV broadcast to rant about Baba Booey or something constitutes a similar effect. And it's funny, and that goes viral too, potentially. Scott Adams is more than capable of winning over literally tens or hundreds of thousands of people to Trump's cause. He is. In the next couple of weeks, he's perfectly capable of doing that. He has a large enough platform. He has the skills necessary. He understands how the human mind works, and that gives him a distinct advantage over most of the people that are attacking him that are simply, they're simply literally nerd virgins from CTR that are using a script. That's all they are. And he's labeling them, he's doing his persuasion thing as well by labeling them bullies. Anyone criticizing him even intelligently is lumped in with that same group. It's fairly easy to understand what he's doing. I think he's been planning to do this, by the way, all along. I don't think that he just decided, oh yeah, I've been pushed too far, now I'm a Trump supporter. Do you actually believe that? The thing is, undecided voters and people that only lean soft in one direction or another, they'll eat it up. They'll believe it. It doesn't even matter if they knew that I was pointing out the fact that this is what he's doing. They would believe him over me. That's the effect of propaganda. It's actually wonderful, so I wish him well in his endeavor. Veritas, by the way, I should probably point this out for anyone that's interested. Project Veritas is going to be releasing, apparently, Part 4 of rigging the election today. Hillary Rodham Clinton's birthday. They're going to have a little celebration. Maybe it's the Clinton racist tape. It's now late enough in the game that it could be that. He hasn't said what the specific content will be. I don't imagine so. I think that'll come like maybe the 1st, 2nd of November, just sort of the last nail in the coffin of her campaign. But it's probably going to be more damaging than the last 3. That's my appraisal of that situation. Yeah, I'd say probably. And then WikiLeaks might do something. I think it was Kim.com was alluding to, oh, does WikiLeaks have 33,000 candles for Hillary Clinton's birthday? Yeah, it's possible. They might dump something like that today. I'm not going to expect it. That doesn't even enter in. When I say that Trump has an advantage because of all of these people gunning for Clinton, it has nothing to do with expecting WikiLeaks to dump the 33,000 emails or anything like that. They probably do have the 33,000 emails. They probably will dump it. But will it happen today? Maybe. Will it happen tomorrow? Yeah, maybe. We don't know when. We just know that it happens before, you know, the first week of November is out. So yeah, Scott Adams is going whole hog after Hillary Clinton. And he's more persuasive than she is. She's not changing anybody's mind. A lot of her supporters just desperately hate Trump and think that he's the next Adolf Hitler. So if you look back through his blog posts, you can see a narrative emerge. And you can see that it's eerily similar to the projections of persuasion he puts on Trump. I pointed this out. That's what he's doing. And it's working. And it probably will work fairly well in the coming weeks. That's about all. Peace out.